Woke Pepsi Panics cancels illegal free money giveaway for DEI small businesses. Why should Pepsi, banks, or insurance companies give away tens of thousands of dollars to diversity-based small businesses and exclude anyone else who may be appropriate for that grant? Well, they're not doing it anymore because they got caught and they got pushed back. From the Wall Street Journal, companies are scrapping or rolling back DEI grants. Pullback in aid for Black and Hispanic-owned small businesses follows litigation from activists. They made a commitment and it went away. These grants are not loans. These grants are not investments. These are literally free money giveaways. In addition to cash, they also provide free consulting and mentoring, but not even just that. If there's a way to work with the small company and give them business that they didn't earn, just based on the fact that it's a DEI type of situation that they're trying to encourage Hispanic small businesses or Black small businesses or women small businesses, all of which are good, but not if you treat them unfairly compared to other businesses. How are employees supposed to know, or how is an investor supposed to know if you're going into a business and the business owner doesn't have the right skin color compared to his competitor? Maybe that competitor is getting an advantage that another business owner isn't getting because of their gender or skin color or sexual preference. It's not enough to give people opportunity based on their skin color or ethnicity. It has to be based on merit, and it's got to be earned, or it creates disruptions everywhere. UBS, a bank, has stopped giving out $25,000 grants directed at businesses led by women of color. A PepsiCo program to help Hispanic startups no longer requires them to be Hispanic-owned. Progressive Insurance dropped any reference to race in its small business aid program. A TikTok grant web program's webpage hasn't been updated in a year. Big companies are dropping or reshaping grants and other aid programs that were directed at Black and Hispanic-owned small businesses in the midst of legal and public pressure campaigns. Because it's illegal. Because it's unfair. Many businesses are unwinding programs that they launched or expanded in response to the 2020 death of George Floyd and the COVID pandemic. The pullback shows how the legal climate is leading companies to make concrete changes that go beyond revisiting internal diversity policies. Litigation challenging corporate policies gained steam after the Supreme Court threw out college affirmative action programs last year, because these companies were running their own affirmative action programs, discriminating against people to push whatever race or gender or sexual preference they wanted. Sometimes they push Black-owned businesses for a year. Then they'll go and they'll push Hispanic-owned businesses. Some companies, including Progressive Insurance, said they've broadened their small business aid programs or are helping entrepreneurs in other ways. UBS, PepsiCo, and others declined to explain the changes because those are probably illegal too. Quote, people have changed behavior because they're afraid of being sued, said Tynesha Boya Robinson, founder of Capital EQ, an impact investing and advisory firm. Quote, if you lead with race, if you lead with gender even, and sometimes if you lead with sexual identity, you will be attacked. Well, why would that be, Tynesha? Because it's not fair, it's not legal, it's inappropriate. And there are people that actually care about the law in this country and they fight back against these things, like Edward Plum and America First Legal. Of more than 60 small businesses grant programs that in 2023 included race or ethnicity in their criteria, more than 40% no longer exist or appear to be dead, according to an analysis by Skip, an online platform for small business owners. Another 27% no longer use race or ethnicity in making awards. About 30% of the programs that Skip tracked continue to use race as criteria. But these tended to be smaller grant programs, said Skip Chief Executive Ryder Pierce. Most aid programs are modest. They typically provide a cash award, often $10,000 to $20,000, sometimes coupled with mentoring and other support, such as software access. That isn't enough aid to elevate a small business into the big leagues, but can prove crucial to thinly financed enterprises. Coils to Locks, a wig distributor, has received 15 grants totaling $168,000 since 2020, mostly from programs directed at businesses run by people of color. And this is Coils to Locks. Coily, curly wigs for Black women living with hair loss. Well, I don't see what that has to do with UBS or PepsiCo or Progressive Insurance, it's a fine business. There's nothing wrong with providing these customized wigs to people of specific genders or races or people with certain issues. All of that's fine as a business, but $168,000 in free money that others can't get? It's completely unjustifiable. Coils to Locks, based in Boston, sells wigs through 24 hospitals and its own website, mostly to Black women with hair loss due to cancer or other medical conditions. Quote, any amount of funding is going to make an impact for us, said Diane Austin, a co-founder and breast cancer survivor. And when you have cancer and you get cancer treatments and you lose hair, you want to feel good about yourself, so you want a well-made wig if that's something that people go through. A lot of people do go through that. It's a fine product, but she doesn't deserve grants that other people aren't allowed to apply for. She says her 5-year-old company could have its wigs in more hospitals if it had more capital to fund expansion, which probably means they would purchase more of these wigs and then put them on display in multiple hospitals, and they can expand that way. And I get that. It makes sense. But why should someone else be paying for the production of these wigs for you to expand your business? And how can a business really succeed if it's constantly just hustling grant money? At some point, the business either has to make sense or not. And easily you could take on an investor who could finance wigs that you can put on display in hospitals. That is not really that complicated, and they know it's not complicated. Grants are particularly important for entrepreneurs of color because their businesses tend to be smaller than white-owned businesses, even after controlling for the founder's education, experience, and other factors, according to the director of Ascend Network, a provider of consulting services to small and mid-sized businesses. Only a third of Black or Hispanic-owned small businesses received the full bank loan or other financing they applied for, compared with more than half of white business owners, according to Federal Reserve data. And why is that? Did they need help filling out the paperwork or something like that? I don't know. There's no explanation for why. It's not discrimination if you don't explain the details. Startups led by Black and Latino founders have each received less than 1% of U.S. venture capital funding this year, according to Crunchbase. And that's another percentage I hear often. But if you want venture capital, if you want people to invest in your company, not as a giveaway, but as a return on investment, you need to demonstrate that it looks like you can be successful in what you're doing. You need a business plan. You need some expertise. You need a good idea. Or at least an idea that looks like it's going to work. This isn't about discrimination. It's only about education. UBS, a bank, cited the funding gap when it launched Democratizing the Friends and Family Round, a grant and coaching program for women of color, in 2021. Friends and Family Round is a reference to raising money from investors, so that if you want to start a business, you'd go to your friends and family first, and they might lend you the money or invest in the business and give you the money. After the bank received 12,000 applications for the $25,000 grants, it decided to award 40 grants, or a total of $1 million, instead of the 30 grants it had originally planned. Quote, the sheer number of high-quality applications to our program highlights the inequality that female founders of color face and the financial support that they need from investors, according to UBS executive at the time. The founder of Cyber Pop-Up had no employees when she received a UBS grant for her Chicago cybersecurity company. So she had no employees, and they're still just giving her free money. Why? Because she put together a decent plan. The money she received helped her hire workers as she sought to close a $2.5 million venture capital round. So she's able to put together a plan for venture capitalists. They don't need these grants. If you earn the grant on a merit basis, it's fine. But let people actually work in society and earn what they get. Quote, having somebody who believes enough in what you're doing to put some capital behind it is really important, said the owner, who now has 7 employees. UBS no longer offers grants directed at female founders of color. Last year, the bank announced a 3-year, $3 million commitment to the Black Innovation Alliance, a nonprofit whose members help Black entrepreneurs, so they can launder the money through the Black Innovation Alliance, as companies used to do with the Fearless Fund before the Fearless Fund lost their lawsuit by Edward Blum, another venture capital company using other people's money to offer discriminatory grants. But that was stopped by the courts. Some programs seem frozen in time. Creciendo con TikTok, a grant program established in 2021 to support Latino-owned businesses, still lists an October 2023 application deadline. TikTok said it launched programs this summer to provide mentoring and classes to 45 small and mid-sized businesses owned by female or LGBT entrepreneurs, among others. In 2023, PepsiCo said it would offer $20,000 grants and 6 months of mentorship to 10 high-potential emerging Hispanic-owned food and beverage small businesses, with the highest potential business later receiving an additional $100,000 in funding. Is that $100,000 a loan? Is it an investment? Is it a free money grant? We don't know. They don't say. But one of the reasons a company like PepsiCo would do something like that, whether it's snacks or drinks, is that they are in that industry. So they may wind up supporting a small company at a relatively limited expense and then buy that company and then distribute it internationally with its wonderful distribution network. PepsiCo has an incredible distribution network. So it can sometimes make sense. But what doesn't make sense is picking out a gender or a sexual preference or some ethnic background and saying, okay, this year it's this, that year it's that. Just treat everyone fairly. And if the entrepreneur deserves additional support or you see opportunity there, then go ahead and make the investment. Otherwise, you got to cut this stuff out. And that's what they're doing. They're cutting it out. PepsiCo modified its questions for the program this year. The rules no longer specify that businesses must be Hispanic owned. Applicants must now explain how their product, quote, is inspired by Hispanic flavors and cultures. That is legally okay. And in terms of morality, that's okay too if they're targeting that segment. And the Hispanic market is a big market. You just can't say you have to be a Hispanic owner to qualify to do business with a company. That is completely inappropriate. Progressive Insurance opened its $25,000 small business grant program to all small business owners this year after focusing on Black-owned small businesses in 2023 and Hispanic entrepreneurs in 2022. Progressive and Hello Alice, its partner in the program, were sued last year by a small trucking company that alleged that the program violated anti-discrimination laws because only women or whatever specific category they chose were allowed to apply for the grant program. This was someone else who could have applied, but he was the wrong gender and the wrong skin color. A federal judge dismissed the lawsuit. The trucking company, backed by a group run by Stephen Miller, who advised Donald Trump during his presidency, has filed an appeal. And why did the judge dismiss that one? Because he didn't actually apply for the grant, so he wasn't declined on that basis. It was an issue of standing. So unless you can show direct harm, a judge might throw it out. A progressive spokesman said that the insurer had decided to open the program to business owners of all backgrounds before the lawsuit, and that planning for the program wasn't influenced by the litigation, except there was litigation and then they changed the program. They all claim this. There's not been one company that's changed these policies. And I've been doing videos like this for a year or so. None of them admit, oh, well, we changed it because of litigation. They all make up some story that like, well, we're not going to continue that program anymore, or, oh, we weren't going to do that anyway, or we were looking into making the change. Of course, not true. Maybe 1 in 100 is actually true. As companies have removed race as a factor from grants, fewer Black entrepreneurs are receiving support. Hello Alice said Black-owned businesses received about a third of all grants it administered in the first 9 months of this year, down from 55% in 2022. But unless I'm wrong, the population of Black people in the United States is around 13% of the total population. So if they're managing to capture, what is it? A third of all grants? That's 33%, so more than double the percentage of the population seems like a pretty good percentage and not something to complain about. Some programs expired. The Coalition to Back Black Businesses, a collaboration that included the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation and American Express, was launched in 2020 as a 4-year program. It provided more than 1,600 small businesses with a total of more than $14 million in grants and virtual training. A Chamber of Commerce spokeswoman said the program, quote, did good work and came to a natural conclusion, as did other pandemic-related efforts. Amex declined to comment. Ron Busby Sr., president of the U.S. Black Chambers, another partner, said the need for Black business support remains high. Quote, they had a dollar amount that they agreed to give out, Busby said. They reached that dollar amount and the program wasn't extended. They made a commitment and it went away. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.